Thanks. Hello, my name's Sweeney, and I know that we're preparing for the healing service at Rosewell. And in case you can't manage to come, I've just been asked if I would do my testimony that we'll be giving later on tonight. Basically, I had a polyp and I went in and had it removed very successfully. I was a very lucky lady and got back to work. And about a year later, I had to go for my yearly checkup. And when I went, I knew right away that there was something wrong. And the consultant said that he would take a biopsy, but he would probably need to have me back the next day. So I went back the next day, and it was so lovely. Apparently you get a nurse beside you if there's maybe bad news. And when I went back, the nurse that was with the consultant was Anne, who is my sister's very good friend. And I only see Anne when my sister is over from Melbourne. Anyway, the consultant told me that he was very sorry, but the cancer was back, and unfortunately it had broken through the bowel wall and into the stomach muscle, and that I would need to go into the hospital on Monday for an operation. So I left the consultant room, and it was so nice to have Anne with me. And I went along to the little chapel in St John's, and the red light was on, which was beautiful. So I was able to tell Jesus what had happened, and I asked him to please be with me on my journey, whatever it was to be, whatever God's plan was for me, that to please be with me. And the door of the church opened, and my dad came in. He was 89, and he was a Eucharistic minister, and he goes, "Oh, Anne, a lady's been discharged, and I've got an extra Holy Communion." So right away, Jesus came, and I knew that was Jesus' way of telling me that he would be with me on this journey. And whatever his plan was for me, that's what it was going to be. Anyway, I went into the hospital on the Monday and got prepped for theatre on Tuesday morning. And again, a lovely Catholic priest came into the ward and said, "Would you like to receive Jesus?" And I said, "Well, I'm actually going for surgery and I'm nil by mouth." And he said, "A little slither, a little tiny." So I received Jesus, and again, I cannot tell you how much that comforted me that my Jesus was on this journey with me. And I think where that faith came from was I had joined a prayer group. I know Our Lady in her last messages has asked us to join prayer groups, but they really do enhance your faith. And of course, my prayer group told me that they would be praying for me. So I had the operation, and I got part of my bowel removed and part of my stomach muscle, and was told I would be called to get chemotherapy. So a few weeks later, I was at the Western General and started my chemo. Now, the chemo was administered through a Hickman line, so I had to go to theatre to get that line in. Now, you're really getting chemo 24/7. So I was on that for a good few months, and it was time for another scan. So I went along for my scan, and then I had to go to get the result. And they were very sorry. I'm afraid the cancer had now moved to my liver, and there was quite a few deposits in my liver. And the good news was they maybe weren't getting very big, but they weren't getting small with the chemo. But I would get another scan in, maybe 2-3 weeks' time. So that scan came, and I went to see my consultant, and the news was the chemo wasn't working. So I think the next step would be palliative care, and they would really help me. And again, I can't tell you how much comfort my faith gave me, and how my prayer group supported me. They came and they prayed round my bed, and I tell you, when people pray with you, it almost doubles the effect of morphine. I would get a very restful sleep after the prayer ministry and the morphine. So it was the 8th of September, and a Eucharistic minister, Maureen, who's in my prayer group, came and brought me Jesus on Our Lady's birthday. And she told me that on the Friday there was to be a healing service like the one we're going to go to later in Rosewell. There would be a healing service, and would I like to come? And a lot of my prayer group members were going as well. And my husband Neil said, Anne, I really don't think you're fit to go. But we thought we'll think it over. So anyway, I had to go, that was the Wednesday, the 8th. On the 9th of September, I had to go back to see my consultant. And they were very sorry. They were going to get the Hickman line removed, and I would get palliative care. So yeah, it kind of upset me. But again, on the way home, I said to Neil, I would like to go and see my mum, who was at St John's. And when we got there was no wheelchair, so I had to try and get along to my mum's ward. And when I got there, the sister said, I'm sorry, if you go in to see your mum, I think you'll upset her. Would you like to stay in the day room? That's how bad I was. We could make you comfortable, and they got me a wee cup of tea, and apparently I slept for quite a while. And then I saw my mum. So on the Friday, I said to Neil, I really would like to go to that healing service. I really had accepted, I think, God's plan for me. I really had. And but what I really wanted to go to the healing service for was to hear the praise, to hear the hymns, to hear the prayer, and to hear the tongues, if you're not familiar with that. It's a very beautiful release of the Holy Spirit that just elevates you to a more spiritual realm. And I said to Neil, I really want to go and get a taste of heaven before I die. So he then decided that yes, we would go. So we went, and I took my drugs, and we got there, and the gentleman was lovely. He spoke for a few hours, and by the time it came for us to go forward for the altar call, I was totally exhausted and was maybe thinking maybe my husband was right, but inside my spirit was soaring because of the praise and the music and the prayer. I cannot tell you what it's like being at a prayer meeting like that. It does elevate your spirit. So it was so good. So we went forward, and there's always remember the song. It was Jesus I believe, Spirit I believe, Father I believe. So I went forward, and I was anointed on the forehead, be healed in the name of Jesus of Nazareth. And I remember just falling back down. I had never rested in the Spirit before, but I went down, and once I was on the floor, this horrific pain went through my body. It seemed to go through my tummy button and into my spine, and I remember thinking, oh, I've maybe broke my back when I've fallen backwards. And then the pain that was consuming my body just went into the floor. And I always say this, I wish I had the eloquence to tell you what that felt like. It was, and I could feel my shoulders coming down from my ears, my body, and I tried to get up, and Eddie, who caught me, said, just, you've rested in the Spirit, just relax. And I did, and I just relaxed. And for the first time in months, I was pain-free. In fact, for the next few months, all I could say to people was, do you know I have no pain? Do you know I have no pain? And at one point, the pain was so bad, it would be in my side and back. And I am a Padre Pio devotee, and I would say to Papa Pio, I would say to my guardian angel, please go ask Papa Pio to intercede for me. Even one pain to go, but the two pains would go. It was amazing. The power of prayer is awesome. Anyway, I just was telling everybody I wanted Neil to take me to see my parish priest right away on our way home, but he was saying, Anne, it's now nearly 10 o'clock at night. If you're healed, you'll still be healed tomorrow morning. I think we need to get home. And yeah, but I was super, I can't tell you, it just was amazing. I think all night I just prayed and praised, and so the next morning I was able to phone my children and tell them all that Jesus had healed me. We got to Mass. I told my priest that Jesus had healed me. On the Sunday morning at Mass, I was telling people Jesus had healed me, and they would look at my husband and said, has she seen a doctor? And poor Jesus. So I had to go back on Tuesday to the hospital to renew the Hickman line and get the line flushed. And I was able to tell my cancer nurse Paula that Jesus had healed me on the Friday night, and I had had no medication whatsoever. And yet I couldn't go. I could only do 3 hours, couldn't go 4 hours. And she got a young registrar who came, and bless him, he was saying, you saw the consultant last Thursday and we're going to get you palliative care. And I said, yes, I know that. But I actually went to a healing service on Friday night, and I've had no medication since. I've had a healing and I want this Hickman line out. And he said, well, you are down for it to be removed because you need to go to theatre to get that. But he went away and he came back and he said, I've spoken with your consultant and she'll see you on Thursday morning before her clinic starts. So I went on the Thursday morning and she was lovely, and I told her that Jesus had healed me. But this time it's Thursday, so it's almost a week since my healing, and no medication. And I said, please, could I get another scan? And she said, Anne, they're very expensive and there's waiting lists, and you had one just the other week and nothing is going to have changed in a week. And I said, but Jesus has healed me. I don't need medication. Can I get this line definitely out? And she goes, no, you are down. And I said, could I not get a scan? So I asked her if she believed in Jesus. And she said, mm-hmm. So she arranged for me to get a scan the following Tuesday. And when I got the scan, I remember they had to maybe put more dye in and more photographs, and I thought, they can't find it. I knew that. I knew the awesome power of my Jesus. So I went back on the Thursday, and there was 3, and one said, the chemotherapy has worked, you'll be pleased to know. The cancer is gone. The tumours in your liver, they've disappeared. There seems to be a red mark. And the other gentleman said, there's like a port red wine stain. And then they left. And my own doctor was speaking to me, and she said, Anne, honestly, I think when your Jesus healed you, he just hugged you so hard, he left a bruise. So I have to say that was it. I had people come out from Edinburgh University to ask me what I had taken, what I had done, and I had taken medication but nothing else. Lured water, certainly, many people would come and bring me lured water and maybe take my medication with lured water. But anyway, all I can say is that my Jesus healed me, and he can do the same if he would do it for me. As they say, the least of his brethren, he can do it for you. So tonight I hope you do come forward, or if you see this again and there's a healing service, come forward for prayer, because our Jesus is totally awesome. And thank you.